this is Brian from Templar Games. How's it going? Just wanted to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about one of the upcoming features for Unto the Breach. I thought maybe we could do this about once every 1 or 2 weeks, give you a look at what's going on with the development of the game, see some of the things that's going into it, and hopefully generate a little excitement. So today, I'm going to be talking about the loot system, one of the first things we've gotten ready to go. Fairly straightforward. We're going to be implementing a Diablo-style random item system. Basically, there's different kinds of prefixes and suffixes that items could have, or just the generic term of affixes or affixes, or however you pronounce it, that will have different effects on weapons and armor that you can find in the game. As it stands right now, we've got about 3 million possible combinations that you could have, and we're still adding on to the database. So, we've got our little testing set up here. Let's head into the game. Okay, I've got our little cave of testing materials here, and there's Alex that you'll be playing as in the game. Oh, before I actually get into this too far, I should probably mention anything in these videos is subject to change and not final. Kind of standard game development disclaimer there. So, we've got a chest here that every time we use it, it's going to give us 3 Katzelbarger swords and 3 leather tops. And we can just keep on using it to grab items. That'll generate a whole bunch of options for us. Obviously, there won't be anything like that in the actual game. So, we go here, we see we've got a whole bunch of swords and a whole bunch of pieces of armor. Let's head over to the equipment screen. Now, you'll notice that it's all in a whole bunch of different colors. We'll be more or less following the standard MMO color scheme, greens, blues, purples, and all that. A couple tweaks to that, though. So white's obviously your standard unenchanted items. Some of the affixes you can get are negative. There'll be penalties of some kind. For example, the shoddy Katzelbarger here, which actually lowers your defense slightly. So items like that will be yellow, and then particularly bad ones will wind up being red. So, let's equip a standard one just so we've got a baseline to work off of. Enhancements will generally fall under 3 categories, basically a measure of how effective they are. So we've got a Stage 1 enhancements. Those items will be green. Stage 2 will be sort of a turquoise-ish color. And then Stage 3s will be blue. We haven't implemented any Stage 4s yet. Those will be the venerable Leet purples. Once those are done, they should be hopefully pretty friggin' awesome. Now, you notice on the right here, the character's got his basic stats, HP, MP, attack, defense, spirit, magic defense, agility, and luck. See here, for example, we've got a lucky Katzelbarger here that bumps up his luck by 1 point. I'm still working on balancing out all the formulas for that, so these numbers may be radically different in the final game, but so, boost his luck by 1. Some of them, it may not look like they actually do anything. For those, you'll have to go over to the status screen and go to properties, and that shows all the secondary stats. These will have, these are a whole bunch of different effects that you can get that further enhance or penalize the character's effectiveness in combat. You know, their ability to score critical hits, evade magic, regeneration from things, so forth and so on. So, of course, you can also have items with just a prefix, or just a suffix, or possibly both. And those, of course, be your really good ones. You'll notice we've got a couple here that seem to be of elements of some type. Rather than the standard Japanese RPG element scheme, we're using the Chinese 5-element system for this. Essentially, these elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And these sort of exists in a semi-harmonious cycle. Basically, fire feeds into earth, which feeds into metal, etc. So if you use an element that feeds into another one against a creature of that element, for example, attacking an earth creature with fire magic, then you'll actually wind up healing them. Each element also will insult another element or destroy another element. And essentially, those are the elements that it's really good against. For example, water destroys fire, so therefore, if you attack a fire monster with a water spell, you'll do double damage. And essentially, the weapons here will do elemental damage of that particular element. And then there's light and darkness thrown on top of that. So, we've got here a Saimite Katzelbarger of wood. By default, we can assume all the weapons are made of iron, so sometimes they'll be made of different materials. Bronze is weaker, but then you have steel, refined steel, and cymite at the top. We've actually got a couple more elements above that, but we'll get into that later. So he's got a whole bunch of extra attack power, and then it also does wood elemental damage. There are about 150 each, prefixes and suffixes that do everything from boosting stats, adding elements, to adding status effects. For example, this Dusty Katzelbarsche here has a chance to inflict the blind status ailment on an enemy when you attack, makes physical attacks significantly less likely to hit. A Rough Katzelbarsche here will increase his crit chance, and so forth and so on. They do a huge variety of different effects. So we'll throw one of those on. Pretty much the same thing goes for armor. If you've got the elements here, obviously you can't attack with armor, and instead it grants you about 50% resistance to that element instead. So throw on that for some resistance to earth magic. Do the same thing with the rest of the party. Let's see here. Choices. Obviously it'll probably wind up taking hours to get this many drops in the game. But, you know, testing purposes and all that good stuff. Okay, give her that one. Ooh, learning. That's probably one of my favorite effects. That gives you extra 10% XP to anything you do, so you level up faster. Alright, so we've got a party fully equipped and ready to head out and kill some baddies, which we'll do next time. Maybe. One more thing before we go, just wanted to show that the affixes also affect the vendor price of items. So you see here that a Katzelbarsche has a base value of 250 gold, but Katzelbarsche Rewarding here, its value is increased to 275, Fortunate goes up to 300, but then a Shoddy drops to 200. Fumbling, sometimes if an item if it's got a prefix and a suffix, obviously both of those will affect its value. As far as the colors go as well, sometimes there might be a good prefix or a bad suffix, but whichever effect is ultimately stronger will wind up determining the color of the item. So in this case, with the Serrated Katzelbarsche of Stupidity, even though the Stupidity will reduce the player's spirit, the Serrated, which is a huge boost to critical chance, is considered stronger, so it's still considered a blue quality item. And the same thing applies to armor, base value 150, that one's only worth 120, that one's worth 180, so forth and so on. So, I hope you found this informative and enjoyable, and I hope you'll come back for future videos. Until then, take care, Avio Templari.